Very intense. I'm sure my heart rate on the monitor there is probably through the roof as well, but that's what you want in a simulation. You want to feel the anxiety, you want to feel the sense of danger and consequence. Alright guys, hello and welcome to another race video. So as you can see, we are checking out the brand new Tempest weather system in iRacing today, which is something that I've been excited about ever since I heard about a very, very long time ago now. It's been in the works for a very long time, so expectations are very high. They've certainly taken their time perfecting things as much as they can, at least in the lead up to this. It was delayed a couple of times as well, from what I understand. So we're going to be checking it out today. But before we get into it, firstly, a big thank you to the sponsor of today's video, Overtaking Sim Sports. Now, you may have seen they've just dropped their prices pretty much across the board with all of their sim racing products just recently, which does definitely make them a very, very good option to check out. So check them out via the link down in the description below. And a big thank you to Overtaking Sim Sports once again for sponsoring today's video. So we've got a 3-lap race around Nordschleife today, with real other drivers, so this is a real online race. And it's going to be really interesting to see how this goes today. It is a mixed field. We were qualified in second on the grid based on our iRating. We didn't actually qualify for the race, so I'm probably going to end up going backwards. I'm sure there's going to be a lot of people behind me that perhaps have lower iRatings but are more competent. But today we're really focusing on the driving experience and what it's actually like. Some of the things that I think have come out really well, and some of the things that I think they might be able to improve on into the future with this new system. So firstly, let's talk a little bit about the spray while we are up close behind somebody, because he's probably going to disappear into the distance, let's be honest. So the impact that it has on driving is obviously absolutely fantastic. The way it kind of, you know, it buries you and you can't really see what's going on ahead of you is very authentic for the most part. So you can see when I get up behind him, it is literally impossible to see where you're going, like right now, for example, which is pretty terrifying in a rig like this with massive screens where it's so immersive already, but definitely is an immersive experience. What I would comment on there, the animation of the water droplets on the windscreen isn't absolutely fantastic. Certainly not as good as what we get with some of the mods in Assetto Corsa and even ACC, for example, or Automobilista 2, to name a few. So, well, you can see when I'm in the spray here, I'm not getting an increase in the amount of water droplets on the windscreen. So it's kind of like, rather than disappearing in a cloud of water spray, you kind of just, it doesn't feel like it's enveloping the car, I guess you could say. So that's one little thing that I just wanted to mention here while we are actually in somebody's spray. I don't want to start off by just you know, saying a bunch of negative stuff, but all right, let's concentrate here. This corner is really treacherous. There we go. We've got a Porsche very, very close behind still. But overall, yeah, definitely adds a lot to the immersion and just the whole dynamic of driving, having to contend with poor visibility. It would be great, I think, as the high-intensity rain lights that you have flashing on the back of the cars were maybe a little bit more intense as well. I've never driven a GT3 car at all, let alone in the rain around Nordschleife, so I don't know, but it is a little bit hard to see those rain lights, so maybe that's something that could be improved as well. I'm not sure on that one. You guys that have real world experience are probably more qualified to comment on that than I am. But the overall dynamics of driving, the physics is really, really quite something. So one of the things that's always stood out to me, and I've always got along really well with the physics in iRacing, I've always felt very comfortable, very comfortable overall, and felt like I've gelled with the cars. It's always, the force feedback's always made, despite some of its shortcomings, has always felt quite natural to me, let's just say, in iRacing. But one thing that I've always struggled with is just the feeling of the car right on the threshold of grip. So when you're really on the edge, it can be quite difficult to really have a good sensation of when the car is about to let go. And that's one thing that I think has improved quite a bit with this rain, is that because the threshold of grip is so much more dynamic now and so variable, you really do feel the car squirming around and moving, and It feels a lot more dynamic to drive in general than it used to in the dry. And I guess that's a natural thing with the rain, but it's something that they've managed to communicate very, very effectively, I would say. So let's try and survive through here. So just feeling what I need to feel through the steering feels very intuitive in the rain. The loss of grip is very progressive. I mean, obviously you will get moments where you hit a puddle or something. We'll talk about that in just a minute, where it does take you by surprise very aggressively, but that's you know, that's natural as well. That's what happens in real life when you hit a puddle, obviously. So, but just the sensation of loss of grip and wheels spinning on curbs and whatnot is very, very, very realistic, at least in my opinion. You see there on the exit, whoa, another slide. I'm starting to lose this guy ahead, unfortunately. I had a feeling that was going to happen.
The gap behind is now 0.2.
Maybe he'll make a mistake. But now we've got a little bit more visibility. We can talk about the track surface in a little bit more detail as well. Hopefully I'm not rambling too much here. It's very difficult to try and race and analyze and discuss everything that's going on at the same time. Very intense. I'm sure my heart rate on the monitor there is probably through the roof as well, but that's what you want in a simulation. You want to feel the anxiety, you want to feel the sense of danger and consequence. And of course, while you're not going to die in a simulator, you do feel like you're on the ragged edge, and I'm sure I'm nowhere near the actual edge with my skill level of driving, but it certainly pulls you in and immerses you in that experience, which is exactly what you want. But even just there, when I ran up onto the curb a little bit there with my rear tyre, got a little bit out of shape. You can definitely feel the car squirming and moving around again there. Porsche's going to get frustrated with me, I think. Hopefully he'll... Oh, big moment. Back end got away from me again. You got to be so careful around those puddles. Now, obviously, this being a completely wet race, it's not super dynamic in terms of where the puddles are on the track. They're not really changing, and I don't think we're going to see much track evolution, but obviously this Tempest system is capable of completely variable weather from fine and sunny all the way through to these kinds of conditions. So it's going to be really interesting to see how that plays out as well, and the transition and the evolution of the circuit under those kind of variable conditions is definitely going to add a whole new dynamic to the online racing situation, as well as obviously pit stops too, having to pit for wet weather tyres. Strategy is going to be a lot more of a consideration as well. So try and get the power down early here. 0.5 of a second behind me. So let's talk a little bit about these puddles, because that's one other little observation. I'm going to intentionally hit a puddle here, and you can hear that water spraying up underneath the car. Maybe not as aggressively as it does in real life. I think to times where I've gone through a big puddle on the freeway, you get that massive whoosh sound come up through the wheel arches as the water disperses itself throughout. And the other thing you'll notice driving at speed as well in real life is that when you hit a puddle, obviously there is the opportunity to aquaplane, but often you'll feel the car really sort of lurch inwards and pull towards the puddle, so it makes the car want to sort of rotate in the direction in which you hit the puddle. Now that's not really a sensation that I'm feeling particularly strongly so far with this update. That's one thing that maybe is lacking a tiny bit. Oh, a little bit out of shape again. He's all over me.
2 to go. Keep it together. We'll be on the podium.
Right side.
He's right up alongside me there. Oh, he's got a little bit out of shape. But yeah, so the puddles maybe don't pull you in maybe quite as much as they would in reality. Again, I haven't driven a GT3 car in the rain, so I don't know, but comparing to my experience of driving in the rain in real life, maybe one thing I thought was lacking a little bit. But having said that, you definitely have to avoid the puddles due to the understeer that they induce. So as soon as you try to brake on a puddle or anything like that, even just try to steer on a puddle, you immediately begin to understeer, and that understeer feels extremely progressive through the steering, so you really get a good sense of communication with what the car's doing underneath you, which is fantastic. And I love how you can see there as well, the water kind of runs across the surface of the road. It does seem to pool in some strange places occasionally. I don't know how the physics model is actually created with this, whether they stipulate specifically where the puddles should be based on real life, or whether it's all just based off the texture map of the circuit, the bump map. You know, the natural undulations of the circuit being a laser scan circuit, obviously there are dips and valleys and rises in the circuit naturally, and that would be potentially how they've mapped where the water should pool. But there's a couple of places where, like downhill for example, you would expect the water to just run away, but it kind of just sits there. But I mean, there for example it makes perfect sense, but there you'd expect that water would kind of roll backwards if it was a flat surface. So again, I just don't know how it's actually designed in terms of the bump map for the circuit. But one little thing that struck me as a little strange, maybe right, maybe wrong, not sure on that one, but definitely having to avoid the curves and having to avoid the puddles, and having the puddles change throughout the course of a race as well, just adds so much more complexity and so much more immersion to the overall experience. Oh, I'm so bad at this corner. I always lose it. Almost lost the back end again there. It's going to be so careful touching those curves. I mean, in the footage it probably looks easy. I mean, I know I'm nowhere near the edge of grip here, but I assure you this is, I feel like I'm on the ragged edge the entire time here. It's genuinely terrifying. And I'm having to make constant little micro corrections in the steering as well. Hopefully that's translating across in the footage.
The gap to Lee Fleur in front is now 2.1 seconds.
I really want to catch this guy again. I don't know if I'm fast enough to pass him, but just trying to survive at the moment. So again, we hit that puddle, and you can see I didn't feel any sensation through the steering at all then, which in real life I feel like, oh, too fast. Whoa. I don't know how I pulled that one up. I braked way too late there. But yeah, in reality, I feel like if you hit a puddle at that speed, you would definitely feel something through the steering. So that's probably the main thing with regards to the physics that I'm noticing, is just that sensation of hitting puddles is lacking. You feel the loss of grip, but you don't feel the influence that it has on the balance of the car, I guess would be my observation there. That and the quality of the animation of the raindrops on the windscreen are probably the two main areas of improvement from my observation.
Pressured. Keep
All right, we're still under pressure here, 0.5 of a second behind me. I'm surprised I haven't crashed yet, to be honest. I'm just being so gentle with my inputs. Smooth as fast is what I keep telling myself, but I've got another Porsche all over the back of me now. Come on. Get that power down. We're a little bit closer to the guy in front now. I just don't want to get carried away. The number of times in practice that I've followed somebody into the wall just with object permanence and fixation. Oh, you got to be so careful of those puddles. I don't know, and again, it's the track conditions at the moment, because it's raining quite heavily. We're not really seeing any track evolution, but we probably wouldn't be seeing that anyway with the amount of rain that's falling. So probably not the ideal conditions to be judging that really for now. Definitely going to have to give a go of I think the Ferrari Challenge Series, if I have the balls to try that being a ranked thing on week 13. Would be an interesting one to try, because I believe that's showers rather than just solid rain like this. So definitely something I'll check out. I might set up some AI races as well, just to try that weather transition, I think, just to sort of get used to it before I jump in any ranked races. Now, the impact on iRating is something that's going to be really interesting to see with this as well. Whether people avoid wet races to preserve their iRating, because I mean it's going to happen. No, regardless of how good a driver you are, you're going to have somebody slide into you and wipe you out. It's just inevitable. So it'll definitely be interesting to see the dynamics of that, whether people avoid wet races or whether they do it because they enjoy the immersion, or how that all plays out. I just don't know at this stage. I feel like I could be going a lot faster than this, but I just don't want to put it into the wall. Big wheel spin on the exit there. Of course, different types of cars will probably behave very differently in these kinds of conditions as well. The GT3 cars do have quite a bit of aero assistance. I'll have to jump into one of the GT86s and give that a try as well, I think. A decent exit there. He hasn't got a run on me. We'll see if he's able to get the slipstream. One more lap to hold on and a few corners. Let's see what we can do. But yeah, the spray can definitely improve, I think. I don't know what the limitations are of the graphics engine, but definitely not quite as good as AMS2 and ACC, I would say.
The gap to Smythe behind is
all right,
increasing.
watch that
It's
puddle.
now 0.9.
Oh, you got to be so careful. All right, where do I lift? Lift here seems about right. Avoid the puddle. That was about right, I think, maybe. All right, final lap. Can we hold on?
The leader has just done
Guy behind's run wide there.
5 seconds. Okay, Will, one more to go. Keep it together, we'll be on the podium.
Oh, we lost the
Halfway
back end.
home. If you look
Jeez.
good, the guy behind has just
I must have just
7,
skimmed a puddle there with the back end under brakes and it just rotated on me. But again, it was it was sudden, but it did still feel progressive. It didn't just completely passenger slide and snap on me like it does sometimes in the drive. So
2.0 seconds.
I still got that Porsche behind me. Shouldn't have downshifted there. Stay off the curbs. All right. Oh, he's still close. It's what I'm finding is it's so much harder to actually overtake somebody in these conditions because you have to be so off your line.
Don't let this guy intimidate you.
I'm trying to just completely ignore my mirrors entirely, but because the concentration level ahead of me is so high. Where do I lift? Brake here. Little bit of brakes. Just feather it. Alright, I'm going to try and pick up the pace now. Full send to end. This is where I always crash though. I always get too greedy down through here, touch a puddle. Little lift. We're so evenly matched on pace, me and the guy ahead. I'm going to give it everything here, but I just don't want to crash. The margin for error is so slim. This is the other corner where I always crash in practice. So easy to lose the back end there if you try to trail brake through the corner too much. That's the thing, is you can't trail brake the way you do in the dry because the threshold of adhesion when you start to turn in is so much lower, so you immediately start to lose the either the front end, you start to understeer or oversteer. So you have to do a lot more of your braking in a straight line, which again does feel very intuitive, but oh no! Oh, I knew I was going to mess it up eventually. All right, let's try to... it was my own mistake too. I didn't get a touch there. That's really disappointing. All right, let's try and catch these guys again. I mean, you can see there how fine the margins for error are. At least we didn't At least we didn't cause an accident. It was close. I did not expect a spin there, and that goes to show just how close to the edge you are. I mean, for me at my skill level, I just don't have a good sense of exactly where the grip is yet, but I've just thrown away a second place. At least I've survived so far. I'm probably still going to crash now. Unfortunate spin, but it happens. All right, let's see if we can catch up again. Maybe something will happen. 6.7 second gap. It's not over till it's over. The rain maybe is subsiding a little bit. I'm not noticing any track evolution here, but again, because of the conditions,
Gap in front is increasing. It's now 7.1.
wouldn't expect it. I've got a feeling I was actually holding those two guys behind me up rather than actually being able to catch them again. I think now that I've got out of their way, they're probably going to run away from me. Let's see, 7.1 second gap now. Oh, maybe those puddles have changed. I mean, we know that there will be track evolution when the conditions are varying, so we won't comment on that too much for now. But performance-wise as well, I haven't actually analysed the numbers yet. Dan Suzuki, if you're familiar with his channel, give him a shout out because he's done a really good job with some technical benchmarks and stuff, comparing performance at various different resolutions and stuff. I haven't actually watched his video yet, but I saw a couple of charts he put up on Twitter or X last night. So I'll leave that to him and his expertise. Whoa, I did it again, no! Oh, you see that? All it is you just touch the grass the tiniest little bit. I think I've killed my engine. Yeah, I've completely killed my car there. You can see just how fine those margins for error are. We got a 17-second gap, but oh no, started again. I think I've got a very broken rear axle there. Yeah, the car's not moving at all. I'm pretty sure I'm dead. Well, there we go. I threw away a podium. But that gives you a good picture of just how difficult this is. It's definitely going to add a very interesting dynamic overall, I think. And yeah, let me know what you think down in the comments below. I'm disappointed that I threw away a podium, but I'm sure I'm not the only person that's going to be doing that. So yeah, looking forward to exploring this in more detail. There's another guy crashed behind me there now. Another one spinning off as well. Oh, they're all over the place. There's chaos in the mirrors behind me. Let me know what you think, guys, and I will see you on track in the rain in iRacing very soon. Bye.